Europe's energy transition is continuing at an often dizzying pace, and with such fast change comes opportunities and challenges. As the rise of renewables continues, backed by COP21 environmental targets, what role is there for thermal power in the new clean energy landscape? How close are we to commercial scale energy storage, which will finally give rise to renewables reaching their full potential? And what are new and established players in the European power sector doing to change their business models and their technology to bring about the much needed desire for high efficiency and super flexibility? These are the major talking points in the European power industry, and all of them will be debated here in the conference rooms and in the exhibition halls here at PowerGen Europe and Renewable Energy World Europe. Welcome to Milan. The speakers at this year's PowerGen Europe and Renewable Energy World Europe keynote session highlighted many of the challenges that the industry is currently having to deal with. We heard about the challenges thermal power is facing, particularly here in Italy, but also how the rise of decentralised energy has really taken off in Europe and also here in Italy. Let's join event director Nigel Blackerby now for his take on what the speaker said this morning at the keynote session.
So this morning's keynote was held in front of a packed audience here in Milan, and we had three contrasting speakers. Firstly, from Enel, the head of global generation, Enrico Viale, talking about what it feels like to be running a large international business in the energy industry in the face of what he was openly acknowledged was a very transitioning time. Enel's got a new logo, it's got a new strategy, and it's approaching this new energy world in a new way, which he was explained in an excellent way. And then we moved on to a representative from Iren Energia. Iren is owned by a number of Italian municipalities here in northern Italy, and they run both electricity supply and other municipal services. So the concentration area was on local energy production, on cogeneration, on district heating, and a very different type of utility to the large Enels. And finally, we heard from Robert Guest. He's the foreign editor of The Economist magazine, and he had the audience, laughing a great deal with his anecdotes from around the world. He's a well-travelled guy, but he had some serious points to make as well around the issues from concerning energy, around the risks that energy faces in terms of terrorism, in terms of price volatility. He talked a little bit about the political situation both in America and the EU referendum. So it was a great way to finish a really entertaining and interesting keynote session here at PowerGen Europe and Renewable Energy World Europe.
Europe's march towards a decarbonised electricity sector has proved to be the industry's biggest ever challenge. Many businesses, utilities and suppliers are having to completely rethink their strategies, not just to keep pace, but for some in order to just survive. These were some of the topics dealt with at this afternoon's PowerGen Europe and Renewable Energy World Europe plenary panel discussion. Now we're going to join event director Nigel Blackerby and the plenary panel moderator, Mr. Stephen Sackur from the BBC, for their take on what they heard this afternoon.
Well, Stephen, we just finished a 2-hour panel discussion. You're probably exhausted, but if you've got any energy left, tell us what were your main sort of impressions from the discussion you had amongst the energy professionals.
Well, I think, the impression I got is that people right now are very focused on a couple of things. One is, after the Paris Climate Summit, they're trying to make sense of the new deep commitments to decarbonisation and exactly what that word decarbonisation will mean for the power sector over the next generation, over the next 25 years. And I think we heard from most of the panelists a degree of pragmatism, that decarbonisation in Europe and still less in the whole world does not mean the end for coal and gas. It just means that there's going to have to be a focus on the very cleanest technologies that can be delivered for fossil fuels, and of course an ever-increasing sort of piece of the pie for renewables. But the consensus is that if we think it's the death of fossil fuels as power generation sources, we are wrong. And also, questions about how to develop storage technology in a way which will allow the renewables sort of piece of the pie that I talked about to get ever greater. Because if, as one of our panelists said, if we do, as he believes, solve the storage conundrum over the next generation, it will be the biggest game changer, and it will change the way the entire industry works. So, these are really big questions that everybody's wrestling with. They could transform the industry over the next 20, 25 years. Right now, I think still some question marks about how quickly that transformation will occur.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and thanks for moderating our panel again.
Always a pleasure to be here, Nigel. Thank you very much.
With that, we come to the end of PowerGen Europe and Renewable Energy World Europe. We've heard how the industry continues to evolve, as do its challenges. But these challenges have been welcomed by those players in the industry as a chance for them to innovate. We've heard that in the discussions today at the keynote session and the plenary panel. Join us tomorrow, where we'll take a look at the exciting innovations that are going on the exhibition floor, and also just some of the debates that are going on in the conference rooms. Until then, have a wonderful evening in Milan.